Hello and welcome to the TT Podcast, the podcast where we talk to one person from the world of the TT to discuss their lives, their journeys and their ambitions with the greatest motorsporting event in the world. And I'm looking to well, I guess it's your left, my right as I'm sat here, because Lee's sat here with a smirk on his face for some reason. What have you got to smile about?
I'm just happy to be in this awesomeness. That is
Thank
Chris
you.
Pritchard.
There's definitely a bromance going on here, isn't there?
Oh, without doubt. I feel it's Steve I feel sorry for.
That he doesn't get to experience it.
Yeah, that he's not here.
He's my favourite.
Simmer down.
So, a new podcast, a new guest.
This is going to be a bit weird, because there's like an actual presenter is
I
coming
know.
on. Like, I know I can't claim to know anything about
But then again,
presenting,
that happens every time we get a good racer on for you.
yeah, but you're like sort of like a halfway house, aren't you? And then this is like the real deal. Do you know what I mean?
I'm like the wish.com version of a presenter. Is that what you're saying?
No comment.
Well, let's get her on. It's Grace Webb, everybody. Grace Webb, welcome to the TT Podcast.
Hey.
I think I'm more nervous than you are. I don't know.
I'm just happy to have an
perform now.
actual presenter in our presence.
It's going to slowly turn around that Grace is going to start asking the questions and be the host of the podcast.
I actually
steal my job.
said this, so we haven't changed roles because I'm not a presenter. But I said to you, like, how different does it feel, or what does it actually feel like? Because it's obviously weird for me to be sitting here. We've had quite a few
the questions, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't really have to. People say things and it randomly triggers something. The hardest part is like not trying to jump in and stop them, not stop them talking, but like interrupt them, I think.
But sometimes that's okay, because it's then more of a conversation like that, and you just become a bit more relaxed.
In my head, I'm like, don't be rude, and then like it just sort of comes out, or else then they go off on a different angle and you go, oh damn, I forgot the question that I've just tried to ask. So
there's a lot of brain multitasking going on when you're presenting and interviewing.
Huh?
that's maybe you've learned something new every day.
I have no idea. Grace, you are a massive, probably number one fan of the podcast.
I'd say whenever I speak to you and tell you that I've listened to the podcast, you always sound surprised, and I don't know why.
Do you know,
Do you believe her?
No. I'm genuinely surprised when anybody says they listen to the podcast. I just find it strange.
Why?
I don't know, because I'm just living my dream, being able to ask people like Lee, Plater, and you guys questions. So I just enjoy it. I feel it's very self-indulgent, but I just feel like it's my chance to chat to people, and I forget people listen to it. And then when I start to think people listen to it, I'm like, right, am I asking the right questions that people want to actually know? Because it's just what I want to know, really.
Yeah, but then you're a TT fan, so you're asking the right questions naturally. So.
But anyway, my point being, one, what's your favourite episode?
My favourite episode would be, I think, the John McGuinness one, just because he's such a legend, and to get someone sat down like that to just ask natural questions and for him to just chat naturally, I just really enjoyed that one.
Nice, good. And then the second question, or the second part of that question is, we ask every rider when they come on, what's it feel like to get the tap on the shoulder? But you've never had the tap on the shoulder. So what I'd like to know is, what did it feel like the first time you were up on Glen Crutchery Road as a rider was getting the tap on the shoulder, and you were, because the amount of times I've seen it, and you're there in front of them, only literally 6-7 feet away, and you're trying to time your lines with those guys setting off.
Yeah.
That must be nerve-wracking in itself.
That's very true, actually. Yeah. So the first time I saw that happen was this time last year at the Manx GP 22. And that was... You try and sum it up in a few words as a spectator. I mean, I'm sure it's completely different as a rider, but as a spectator, when you see the first bike go off on the road, the noise is so loud that it just fills your body with vibrations. And you can see as well, even if they're wearing a dark visor, you can almost see their facial expression as they're concentrating on the road ahead. And you sort of... I was watching the riding, you can sort of get into their head as to what they're thinking. And as well, if you look closely, you can almost see what they're doing with their breath And it's interesting to see what different riders do, because some do a massive big breath because you see their chest sort of puff up and down, and some will do little things like they'll do a shoulder roll or something to help them relax and get focused. So I sort of enjoy watching and seeing what the different riders do as they pull off. But it is just breathtaking to see all the crowd gather around for the start. The noise lights up. Every 10 seconds a bike goes, so it's just for the next few minutes, it's just like fireworks going off. And it's such a spectacle to think that this is still happening and has been happening for so many years. And to get to see it for the first time in real life last year was just incredible. And I felt so lucky to be, like you say, only a few feet away from them. I had such an exclusive standing point that no one else would have had, that I felt really lucky and fortunate to be able to do that. It was amazing.
If you, obviously your career is, you're a busy woman and you do quite a lot of different things, but have you ever been in that situation before, or worked on anything else where that level of intensity, or that, I don't know, like you can feel the stress even when I go up there. If I'm not riding, you look around, there's people stood there that are out of VIP, they look stressed out, they're not even getting on a bike, probably don't even know any of the riders. There's obviously all the mechanics, the team owners, sponsors, everybody is literally stressed out, and then you're there trying to get somebody's attention, or talk to a rider that probably doesn't want to talk to you. Like, how does that feel, or have you ever experienced anything else like that? So
my very first presenting job was at a motorcycle championship called Thundersport, and my job there was to interview the riders after the race. So you'd watch the racing to get an idea of what went on in the race and what to ask them at the end. So in terms of like riders setting off, there's some tracks where you can get quite close to the start line, but it's a mass start, unlike at the TT. So you see all the riders, head down, revs up, and there on the pit wall, you've obviously got, like you say, families, sponsors, people who care about the riders they're watching, and it is interesting to see the different reactions, because you get some people who you can see are just full of worry or concern, but then you've got others that are full of fire, maybe, because they really want them to do well. So it's interesting to see the different reactions. So I suppose I can only liken being at the Manx or at the TT is to being at a short circuit race where you see them set off and the emotions running high. But I find people interesting, so I love sort of watching what different people do, and so I can only liken it to that, really. But having said that, there is nothing like the Manx or the TT. It's almost on another level. I don't know if it's because the rider's on their own, so in that 10 seconds, all eyes are on just that rider. So I don't know whether you feel that as a rider, that tens of hundreds of eyes are on you in that moment, because on a mass start you've got eyes on a grid of riders, but in that moment
it's just you.
It's just
somebody
you.
Just made me nervous and asked me a question without even realising she's...
Because, for me as a rider, I get nervous, don't stall it at a set of traffic lights, let alone on the TT start line. So, I don't know, do you feel all those eyes?
That's never even actually entered my head, that literally...
Oh, sorry.
I know, you just ruined the TT for me. But it's never entered my head that they're all literally just looking at me, because... I've never thought about that.
It is, I would say, in a good way though, because so at the TT this year, I'm not sure which rider it was, but there was one moment where the bike was just revving. It wasn't pulling off. He had the tap, but the bike wasn't going anywhere. And after a few seconds, the crowd went, "Oh no, come on!" Like everyone is there wanting you to get a good start and do well. So it's all good stares.
think that was Mike Brown
to
actually.
ease
Trying
you
to
a
make-
bit, Lee.
was trying to make me feel better. Was he not in gear, and then he just he was?
I'm not sure what was happening, but he did get it
I think it was
going.
Brownie, I'm
Actually,
sure it was Brownie,
yeah, now
yeah.
you say it, I think it was Mike Brown,
Yeah.
and he did get it going in the end.
See, I from all that point of view, I think the rider's the lucky one, because our nerves, like anybody you interview, you realise the second we're, what do you call it, no man's land in between. Yeah, the second we're there, everything stops, the noise stops, and you're calm. But then now, even from being here this week, so I've never been here and not been riding, or not been riding. So now that I'm here and we've got Nathan on the bike, and he literally set off, and I was like, what do I do now? And I was like, I'm walking around, I was like, I wonder how I figure out where he is. Like, I've never sat looking at live time, and I was like,
how do I do this?
Yeah, I was like, how do we? So I went down to my mechanics. I was like, so how do we know where he is now? And they're like, oh yeah, it tells you. I was like, oh, this is well good. And they're like, all right, he's there. And then one night he broke down, and I run straight up to Milky. I was like, Milky, how do I know where he is? And he told me straight away, and I was like, oh, thank God. And this is like, I don't know him really well or anything, but I feel like this sort of duty of care to look. I was like, right, I know where he is. I know he's all right. I cannot imagine what that must be like.
Yeah.
We're that selfish, so we don't ever have to think about.
But so, have you seen a TT start? Have you seen the taps on the shoulders, or have you only ever been in the helmet?
Maybe if a race I wasn't in or something. Yeah. But and it's like, so last year, obviously, when I got my eyes hurt, and then the guys made me go up and like, this is all like, you can interview them because they're your friend, and that was even harder, because then I know like most of us don't like it or stuff like that, and you're obviously worrying, because some of us are close and stuff. So yeah, that I don't enjoy watching. If I'm totally honest, I can see why the feeling of it's amazing to watch, but then I can also see why it must be horrendous for families and mums, dads, wives, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a long old time as well. Like, it's not like sitting at Brands Hatch and go, oh, there he goes, and there he goes.
Yeah.
And
It's 2 hours. You got to sit there for 2 hours with your fingers crossed, sweating.
for someone else's entertainment.
Yeah, just so you can go and enjoy yourself,
I know.
mate. Yeah, selfish. Anyway, Grace, you're not any old presenter in the fact that you didn't get into presenting and you just so happened to pick a job of presenting, I don't know, the TT. There is heritage and history within your family of racing.
Yeah.
So give us a backstory. Tell us
Bit of
where
a
Grace comes
backstory.
from.
Okay. Well, I suppose if I go right back to the beginning, then on my mum's side of the family, so my grandfather is Tom Wheatcroft, who is the founder of
Really?
Donington Park. Yep. So
I knew
that's...
this.
I obviously,
Should have done my research.
I obviously.
Lee's nodding like he knew.
Yeah.
Like that's old news, if I'm honest.
No, it's not.
Wait to hear the next bit.
Go.
Well, so inevitably racing and motorsport was always going to be in the family. So as a kid, I remember, my first MotoGP race I watched at Donington.
What year was this?
2007,
Who won
maybe
it?
around then. Oh, now you're testing me.
Don't know, in 2007. That'll not be far off the last race at Donington. Because when did it start? It stopped 2000. That probably was the last. Maybe 2009.
Yeah.
I'm going to say,
Yeah,
because
I'm going to say Rossi.
it went 2008
Well,
as
McWilliams was on the podium. He nearly won one.
That was
Didn't he?
2000.
Was it 2000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the same race Ralph Waldman was on the 250?
Yeah.
And he smoked everyone. Yeah.
He's showing his age.
Good knowledge
we
though,
weren't
guys.
born. We weren't born then.
Yeah,
So that was your first memory of going to the track, like family going to the track.
Yeah, because we'd all go as a family, and my granddad would have a suite on Goddard's Corner, and we'd watch from there. So it was really cool experience. And
you did it right then. You didn't just sit on Craner with a
She wasn't sneaking over the fence. It was
which is what my grandfather did when he was a kid at Donington. So
Well,
he
yeah, I
would
heard
go
that,
and
yeah,
watch and jump the fence, and then ended up buying it a few years later. But so that was sort of my first introduction, I suppose. And so that was on my mum's side. And then on my dad's side, my dad was a racer, but he raced saloon cars. He didn't really get into motorbikes until like after his car racing career, interestingly. But
it's normally the other way around, isn't it? Like people tend to.
So he raced for a few years, before I was born and then when I was a young kid. But both my dad and my mum became bikers. And so it just seemed a natural path for me to get my bike license. And as well, growing up in the countryside, I'm from Lincolnshire originally.
It's not the real countryside, but I'll let you off.
How?
Yorkshire. That's the only countryside in the world. The Peak District. Tell me I'm wrong, Lee.
I live there, but I'm aware there is other countryside in the world.
Whatever you want to call it, it's very rural.
Yeah. Very rural.
I mean, the nearest bus stop to my parents' house was like 2-3 miles away. So I couldn't wait as a kid to get any form of transport. And obviously, well, in the UK, you can take your CBT at 16, so that's what I did because it was the first pair of wheels I could get on. So it was just kind of around, my dad's an engineer, that's his job, and he works from home, so there's just constantly tools about, engines going off, and then a bit later down the line, my brothers raced. They did a bit of kart racing, but more seriously bike racing, and I would always go along as sister and number one fan and do their pit board, change their tyres, just get involved really, because I was too young to be left at home alone, so I had to go along. I may as well have just
Did you want to go
into
along
it
as well, or would you have been happy to stay at home if you could have?
I think when I look back, at first, the first few times we went, you'd load up the motorhome, all the bikes in. I was a bit like, my little brother's taking me away from my mates. It was a bit like, But I think that was before I really knew what paddock life was like, because then when we got there and you get stuck in and you meet people from all over the country.
It's like another village, only the village moves around all the time.
It's just you create another family in that paddock who you see once a month for the whole year, and you build relationships and friendships, and I then grew to love it. It only took once or twice for me to be like, I really enjoy coming along. So, so I've just been around motorsport since I can imagine, really.
Was there no interest in yourself going racing, or not?
That was literally the thought in my head.
There was. When I speak to my parents about this, they say, "Oh, well, you never made it clear." And maybe I didn't, I don't know, but I expressed an interest in it a bit too late on, when all the focus and energy was put into my brothers to keep them racing, because particularly my younger brother, he started mini motos, metro kits, and moved up to 450s, 600s, and so all the focus was sort of put on him, and I was the one who sort of went into road riding and got my road license and rode on the road more than they did. So looking back, I think I'd want to give it a go, but I didn't. So I've never raced, I've never competed, and that's something that in the work that I do, some people think that I'm a racer from footage that's out there, which is quite cool. But it's unfortunately something that I've never done. Like I do track days and I ride on the road for fun or for journalistic purposes, but I've never competed. So
never too late.
Is that that's what that something that is there like a fire? Like, is there a thought process in there that makes you think I would like to have a go at this?
Definitely.
I'm an extremely...
Your mum and dad's not watching.
Oh no, they're great. They'd be really supportive if I did. But I'm an extremely competitive person. So
there's the first box ticked, right? Let's go.
So I do have a want for it, but I think when you leave it too long and you become an adult and you buy a house and you have bills to pay. And
your career's just getting going.
I think you realise as an adult how expensive it is. Like when I was younger and I'd go along with my brothers, you don't have that concept of money when you're younger, and you go along with it, and it's
basically what you're
the
saying
bank
is
of
if
mum and dad.
if your parents were still willing to pay for it, you would still go racing. That's pretty much what.
But you're in a perfect position. You're in the right industry. You probably have made enough connections to make it potentially slightly cheaper, and I'm sure there's people out there that are just loan
I'd
you
be
a
open
bike.
for sponsorship.
There we go.
I actually think I do agree with you for a change. What you just said.
Yeah.
Like at the minute right now, especially in the UK, there's a massive push on trying to get women into motorsport as a whole, be it car racing, motorbike racing, and you have to look at BSB, like what Faye Ho's team's doing and stuff. This could be it now. We could get Faye on the phone, and should we get a live call on and just see if she'll...
Have you got a number?
Yeah, we give her a ring and
There you
just
go. Yeah.
get Grace. Obviously, I want 20% of when...
Oh, hold on a minute.
There's prize money in motorcycling, is there?
No, it's very, very... But yeah, well, obviously you want to maybe do more track day. You can do, is there one of the track day companies that actually do races? Is it No Limits or something?
No Limits do races.
There obviously is other track day companies.
Yeah, but they do races.
Yeah, you can do like a track day
and
and it's a weird. Then there's races in the afternoon or something like that. So it's like you could do something like that first, and then.
But then that makes me think, because something like that, say if you were to race at a place like that, what would be the smallest capacity bike you could use? A 125?
They call it Moto 3 or like But British talent level is Moto 3, so that's a 250 like 4-stroke. But then I think there's the new classes now in BSB, so there's like some sort of a Kawasaki 400 and maybe a Yamaha 400 or something like that. So that's the size of your road bike, no?
Yeah, 450, Yeah, it just makes me think, like, for example, when I look at my brother's journey, who started at mini moto level, I sometimes think, is it too late? Because I maybe would have wanted to have gone really small and worked my way up. Because now I feel like you're going into the big tracks on,
it's
substantial
all
bike.
to do with like your understanding and you know how to ride a motorbike. You know how to go round a corner. I'm assuming, So literally,
I'd like to think.
literally, you brake a little bit later and you get on the throttle a little bit earlier and you just keep going fast. It's not. There's no like secret side. We get people on track days all the time and they come up to you. It's like at Whittam's track days. There'll be like quite a few decent level riders and me. And
are you instructing?
They'll come to you and you can see it in their eyes. It's almost like the same fad as if people are on a diet. Think, right, if you take this magic tablet, you're gonna eat as much as you want, do no exercise, and you're gonna be stick
in the shape you want.
They believe that is the same thing on a motorbike. They're like, all right, what is the secret? Do you know what I mean? I'm like, there is no secret. It's really, really simple, and you just get a little bit faster and work at it. Do you know what I mean? But even like people like Pritchard didn't start racing until he was 28.
Yeah, he was.
Do you know what I mean? So
maybe I'm just doubting myself, but
100%.
as part of this package, can I have Lee as my mind coach?
Of all the people to have as a mind coach.
Well, he just gave a good speech there.
No.
Yeah, I'll actually pay for you to have a mind coach, so it's not me. Just so your career actually progresses.
As a motorcycle coach, you probably can't.
That's debatable as well. To be fair,
right.
Yeah. I've got some good contacts. I'll sort you out with a mind coach and a motorcycle coach.
But you sort of have an experience at the Manx this year with Nathan being on your bike, and you were even saying earlier, like, I'm not sure how to speak to him, and do I say this? Is that overstepping the mark?
Yeah, it is hard because I'm not crazy older than him, but I feel like a duty of care to him. Do you know what I mean? Because he's on our bike and in our team, and I don't know why. I don't know whether that's just in my head or whatever. Whether I should just stand back and let him go. But I'm like, the other day randomly he come in and I was like, he's only got one tear off on his helmet. He's no helmet guy here. I was like, I'll just clean his visor. And my boys were like, what are you doing? I was like, yeah, but he'll only have one tear off and he needs another lap, and if he gets a fly straight away, that was just what was in my head. So things like that, it's maybe not, he might not even see me do it or notice, but I thought, well, if that benefits him, or even if we were talking about like a debrief after with suspension and stuff, and like there's certain places where I know what I want a certain thing to do and things like that, and then I was like saying that to him, and then I was thinking, oh, he probably thinks I'm just sticking my nose in, or do you know what I mean? It's hard to know because everybody's got a different opinion on what maybe they want, or
yeah, but you're in a place of authority because one, you've ridden the bike before. Two, you've got way more experience than Nathan. So I think it would be...
I know, but everybody's mindset's different. Do you know what I
but
mean?
you can take it on. So again, this is right at the bottom level, right before anybody
Just to
thinks
clear
of
that
it.
up straight away.
So I used to race at a very low level, and there was a guy who he was terribly slow, but he would love to offer advice to me, and he'd come up and he'd say this, and I'd take it on, and I'd go, yeah.
Are you saying that's what Nathan thinks of me?
A little bit, and then I just disregard it. So it's nice that people do that and care for
That
you.
was nice. That was
But
started
then-
out as a nice
But
story.
then
Yeah.
what happens is you just go, all right. But the thing, what I'm saying is, he's got the option to take it on if he wants,
Yeah.
and he might only take a little nugget from that and go, that's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to explain, or that's how I want the bike to feel. But if
Yeah.
you keep it in your head, it's no good to anyone, is it?
Yeah, but I think the way I look at it is I'm quite forward at asking a question. Like if I think that someone might know something I want to know, and I would just go, is this what? And I don't think he's like that. And then I think, well, if he doesn't ask me, he doesn't want me. Do you know what I mean? So that's the way my...
Yeah, but he's a very polite kid, and he probably wouldn't want to put on you.
Is that the opposite to me?
100%, yeah, absolutely.
But it's a learning curve for you as well, though, because like you say, you being in this position is something new to you.
Yeah.
So I'm sure after this weekend, you'll...
Yeah, both being a team, well, say team manager, I'm not really doing a lot, and being here asking questions is like... But she slightly keeps turning it round to
I'm about
ask
to
me
say,
a
can we
question,
just
doesn't she? She's
remember
like
that
a
this is not the
proper...
Lee Johnston podcast.
Yeah.
This is your podcast.
You're not getting out of it that easy.
That's just because, like I say, I find people interesting, so I'll just ask questions as well.
No, I'm always fascinated by Lee.
I think if anything good comes out of this, Grace is going to be racing by this time next year.
I reckon so.
I do too.
Dun, dun, dun.
Mum and Dad, get your wallets out.
Imagine that coming to the TT as a presenter, stroke rider.
Would you ride here?
I would never say never. Never.
Yeah, because most
It's
people
still-
will either go no straight away
Yeah.
or...
But I think it's because I ride on the road quite a lot. I liken it to that.
Yeah.
I actually did my first lap of the TT course at the TT this year. So I borrowed a Honda Hornet from Honda, and I took it out and did a lap for the first time. I've done a lap in the car.
Was that open, the road, just normal roads, like, or was it like a...
Close road.
Yeah, because we could probably get, if we get Paul Phillips to sort out a parade lap.
There you go.
I'm interested.
Tell you what,
I'm
this
interested.
career is going at a rap. So she's gone from starting racing to we're having her on a lap of the TT within 15 minutes of a conversation.
Yeah. So this time next year, TT debut. You looking forward to it?
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
We'll be talking about the touch on the shoulder and everything straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that'd open up another spot for
Yeah.
the presenters, and I'll never make it as a racer. So
Yeah.
Oh, you
Well,
could,
brilliant. Here we go.
I've done you both a favour then.
We've got the plan. Thanks, mate.
No bother.
Thank you.
well, to answer your question though, the lap I did, the roads were open,
Yeah, normal.
but obviously the mountain road was one way. So it wasn't a relaxed,
Yeah.
flat
Did you
out
did you
lap.
did you break the speed limit over the mountain?
What's the speed limit? There isn't a speed limit. There isn't a speed limit.
There isn't a speed limit.
Is that a trick question? Don't panic me.
I reckon she was speeding.
100%.
Well,
You
to
must
be
have
honest,
looked down
that-
at one point and thought, "Ooh,
Yeah.
She was overtaking all these bikes.
Unbelievable.
Like, all these Panigales and
But
Fireblades.
the mountain though was something else. Like that lap, I think I saw everything that there was that you could see, because it was. So leaving Douglas, I mean, I didn't get out of maybe second gear there because it was so busy, and so you sort of wind your way up a bit, and then I saw a speed camera coming through Ramsey, so double check, I'm being sensible, and then you get up to the mountain. And the mountain, you just need about 10 eyes in your head to
I bet you do when
to
it's open.
see
Yeah.
everything that's going on, because you've still got cars and vans
Everything.
that are going over
Even
the mountain.
buses, there's everything literally going.
Yeah, that are obviously going quite slow. But then you've got matey who thinks he's Lee Johnston going, boom, like, and
Maybe
so
it was me. But it's funny. It's actually, I've said this to people that are decent riders, but not crazy, and I'll go as fast as you can, because there is no chance of someone. You'll never get scared of what you can see in front of you, because it's your decision then to make the call. But when something stripes you or comes up or sits you up, that is the worst feeling in the world. 'Cause especially if you think, oh, I'm being safe and you're doing everything right. So you could literally get, not run off, but frightened, sit up, brake, and veer off the mountain for nothing other than somebody else's fault. So you're actually better, safer going as fast as you can, or within reason.
But that's almost why you had, like, I was constantly looking in my mirrors as well as ahead, because there was so many different speeds of vehicles up there that you had to be just on the ball the whole time. But
I've went up before on when it used to be Mad Sunday, which is not a thing anymore, and I stopped at the bungalow or somewhere, pulled over, and I was literally, I must have been in a car because I didn't have a bike license, and I was there for like 10 minutes, and I was like, I can't do this. It was, there was people in all sorts of shapes at all sorts of speeds, and you just think,
was it two-way at that time?
No, just
still one way.
Everybody was like, it was horrendously bad to watch.
Can you believe that they ever allowed it to be two-way? Then
I honestly believe, to me in my head, because I'd never watched, I was like, these boys are far faster than what I can go around this corner, because honest to God, it looked at me like, to me, because it's like going to a track day, and if someone's really slow at the track day, if there's like one racer there, he looks like Rossi, because everyone else is quite slow. So if you have a load of normal traffic, and then some guy that's quite good on the road comes round, literally just with his knee down, it is like, you think in your head, that's amazing, But then I thought, oh my God, like this is way faster than what I can go around here. It was frightening, honestly.
Yeah, you do see all sorts up there. But saying that, I was so glad I did it.
Yeah,
because seeing it through a visor as well, the view is just incredible. Like, for the split second that I sort of looked to the right and saw a sheer drop down the mountain, but it was so beautiful and exhilarating. And sort of going back to your question as to would I do something like the TT, doing the lap then, it made more sense as to why people do it, because it was so exhilarating, and that was with, the roads
and
open
for the view.
And for the view, but it is incredible up there, because you're at the highest point and you can see all the mountains in the distance. The sun was just setting, because that must have been about 6-7 p.m. at night, and it was just glorious, and I could see why people do it.
Like that's amazing, but I'd love you both to feel what it's like when you're like on your own. Do you know what I mean? You're going absolutely flat out on your own, and you might not have passed the bike. Say if you set off a certain number and you've passed one or two, but by the time you get there's too big of a gap, or someone's not there, and you might do 2 or 3 laps and not see. So it's like it's literally having the best track in your world, and no one else is getting to play on it because you're the only one there playing. I would love everybody to be fit to have that feeling. Or
that's why riders come back and do it.
Yeah,
isn't it?
And that's why Grace is going to do it next year.
I'm down for that. I'm down to watch that.
TBC.
All right, we're going to take a break there, Grace. We'll be back next week with part 2 of this podcast, and here is a little teaser, a little trailer of what's to come.
Yeah, so Lee was actually the first person I interviewed on the island. There you go.
Nice.
I basically got her the job.
Pretty much.
So I've got her to be a presenter. Now I'm going to get her to be a motorbike racer. It's like,
you should be an agent.
I'm basically her manager. Yeah. If I don't deserve 20%, who does?
I love this narrative throughout the whole podcast that we're going to be racing next year.
Oh, we
at the
are.
TT.
What do you mean narrative? This is happening.
So the first place you can watch that is right here on TT Plus, unless you're watching a week later, or maybe 2 or 3 months later down the line on YouTube. And if you are, leave us a comment, leave us a review, and let us know how we're getting on, and let us know who you'd like to see on the podcast. Until next time,
always a pleasure.
Never a chore.